Hello there. In a minute you'll hear me talk again about various teachers that I don't like. And this raises a very interesting question about Gurdjieff's statement that J.G. Bennett had a complete astral body. We see today the restless and bored to death youth in the Western world who live in a society so mind-numbingly sterilized of any life and automated. They are interesting themselves in spirituality from the East, which I would say they are fully incapable of really comprehending due to the differences in their type. And if you can't understand your own spirituality, how can you understand anybody else's? But they're a dime a dozen on the internet, all proclaiming to be new gurus of emptiness and awareness and whatever. Most of this stuff just ends up being so-called non-duality, which basically means non-entity. These people have no grasp of anything whatsoever, meaning they've done no work. They don't own anything. They don't know anything. Because when you work, you gather knowledge and understanding, both technical and also of your being. You grow. Your understanding is real, and this is demonstrated by your ability to do, which means to literally be able to do things in the world, whether you're assembling a chair or you're captaining a ship. You are literally able to do things in the world because you have learned something. It's literal. And you demonstrate that you're not a non-entity by your ability to do things. Right? And so this new Western strangeness where people set themselves up as a guru or a life coach. People don't even do psychotherapy anymore. They just want to be a life coach. Really, there's no respect for learning or for understanding. Just getting out there and getting on Facebook. And a lot of it ends up being Buddhism, supposedly. Because Buddhism is very fashionable, so people fall into the world as they are not willing to actually enter into anything and commit to anything and make real effort. They simply fall into bon ton, what's fashionable. Well, what's fashionable today is Buddhism. So if people fall into this Buddhism and talk about awareness, they're simply being bon ton, meaning they are repeating the mutterings of the sheep. That's basically where the Buddhism business comes from. I wanted to say something about an honest and an honourable way to approach the fourth way. How can we do that? I will say a few things. They're not definitive, or it's not the only way, but I will just say a few things. And one is to be like Gurdjieff. To be like Gurdjieff. Gurdjieff was able to do many things. He was a very skilled craftsman, negotiator, teacher. Attempt to be like him. Attempt to be skilled. Skill. In the stories of his journey through life, he worked through the night, he worked for months, developing tremendous skill in many different ways, in many different types of work. He took risks sometimes. You can read the stories about it. Be like him. Do as he did. Develop skill at something. Have that kind of passion, you know. He didn't work all the time. I mean, he would quite happily relax and look at the clouds going past and eat artichokes. And sometimes he would go diving to the bottom of the Bosphorus. He was full of life. He wanted to explore, try, join in, learn. He saw something and he learned about it. He was there in person. He spoke to people in person. Of course, his instructions were to read his books, and you should read his books just the way he said it. Take it literally. Take the book literally. If you read his books and don't take them literally, I just think that's so sad. It's sad. It's sad. Nothing can happen to you unless you want to really engage. That is a sad thing. Can you imagine somebody reading Beelzebub's tales and thinking it's all just nonsense or made up or something? That is truly sad. It's like somebody who reads a fairy tale and thinks that it's all just a story. It's like by doing that you miss the point. It is more or less literal. Literal is a word that maybe people can take too far, but it's much more literal than you think. The sun that rises in the morning is divine. Don't you know that already? Don't you know that? Surely you know that. What is it you think that rises from the horizon in the morning but the love of God? And if you read the books that were made by his students, especially his early students who were close to him, these are also excellent to teach you about being in his caravan. And I think they have a lot of value because in this world you need something outside of the world to keep you on the straight and narrow. And to enter into the journey of these students is very valuable to give you a different world. Otherwise, you will just fall into this deafening modern society that never leaves you alone. You need to separate from it. You need to enter into a different lineage, a different life. And you know, there are many books. I've probably read 20. You can look them up yourself. I can see on my shelf here a book called Gurdjieff, A Master in Life. There's a book by Louise March, which I liked a lot. Of course, there's Fritz Peters, C.S. Knott. The early books are the best. Basically. And you can see that he struggled, Gurdjieff struggled, meaning he made real efforts, and so did his students. And you know, if you're reading those books, how can you make those efforts? Choose something, choose something. I think that's probably quite hard for people. Maybe people are reading these books and feeling that there's something here and you don't quite know how to assemble for yourself any work. I do think that's very hard. I personally have been to a lot of centres and ashrams and new age camps where you do work, and if you be honest with yourself, if you have been reading these books and you're not working deliberately in a line on something, if you just haven't been able to get it together, then that's probably quite normal, and you'll need to find for yourself an environment where you can do that. And maybe it's worth you going to a more or less honest meditation class, or a Bible reading, or a therapeutic class, or dance class, or something. This is called external support. This means that you join into a group and they have a structure, and you're there and you're led and taught and guided through something, and you stick with it, and you learn from doing that how to stick with something. Probably many people who are interested in these teachings, they really do need that, because I don't know how I would have learned that if I hadn't been dragged by the bridle through so many different trainings and workshops and retreats and stuff like that, until I could do it myself, and it was not immediate. I did try, but I needed to be guided, and I was grateful. I was very grateful sometimes, to be in one of these groups and for somebody to take care of it, and I could just sit there and listen to them and do what they said, and then I would get the benefit of it, and I wouldn't have to be in charge. I wasn't ready to be in charge of myself for a long time. Now it's different. Now I'm on a permanent semi-retreat, and every morning I wake up and slap myself in the face and say, what are your aims? Let's do it. Get something out of it. If you'd like to listen to the rest of this recording and others, I've put them on Odyssey, where there's no time limits. So please have a look on there. I've put the link down below. Take care.